When To Kill a Mockingbird opens, it doesn't begin with a courtroom. It begins with a child coloring, small hands, trinkets, quiet play, a private collection of objects that matter only because someone remembers them. This is not an accident. The story invites us into memory before judgment, into innocence before ideology, so we can watch belief form before it learns how to defend itself. Hello, and welcome to Cinematic Skeptic. The children run freely through town, largely unmonitored, absorbing stories through whispers, half-truths, and tone. They gather on the corner, staring at the Radley house, gossiping, constructing a myth out of absence. Boo Radley isn't a person yet. He's a shape, a creature, a story that grows sharper the less evidence anyone has. Scout believes he looks through her window at night. No one corrects her. No one checks. Rumor becomes record. And right here, before the film ever mentions a trial, we're shown its central mechanism. Fear doesn't need evidence. It needs repetition. The children dare each other closer to Boo's house. Scout rolls into the porch inside a tire. Jem touches the door to prove he's not a coward. Not to learn anything, just to perform courage in front of witnesses. Later, Jem loses his trousers on the Radley fence. A gunshot rings out. Mr. Radley fires at what he assumes is a prowler. No confirmation, no verification, just certainty.
Somebody please tell me what's going on.
Mr. Radley shot at a prowl out in his collar.
A prowler? Oh,
And when Jem returns to retrieve his pants,
You know the first time when I was getting out of my breeches?
uh-huh.
Well, they was all in a tangle. And I couldn't get them loose. When I went back, though, they were folded across the fence. Sort of like they was expecting me.
an act of quiet humanity no one knows how to process.
What you got in the box? Nothing. Go back to bed. If I show you, will you swear never to tell anybody?
I swear.
Cross your heart. I found all of these in the knot hole of that old tree.
It was to be a long time before Jem and I talked about Boo again.
That's what happens when facts interfere with myth. They don't get integrated, they get suppressed. Meanwhile, the adult world is doing the same thing, just more formally.
Who's that in the car with Sheriff Tate?
Tom Robinson, son. They're bringing him back here tonight because his trial is tomorrow.
The story takes place in the early 1930s during the Great Depression. Scarcity, anxiety, a rigid racial hierarchy tightening its grip because when social order feels threatened, people cling to whatever hierarchy they already know and are familiar with. Law becomes less about justice and more about reassurance. When Atticus Finch is appointed by the judge to defend Tom Robinson, there's no celebration. It happens quietly at night, like an administrative necessity no one wants to look at directly.
Atticus, you heard about Tom Robinson. Grand jury will get around to charging him tomorrow. Was thinking about appointing you to take his case.
I'll take the case.
Atticus agrees to take the case, not because he believes he'll win, but because not taking it would mean surrendering something internal he refuses to lose. That distinction matters because Atticus isn't here to save the system. He's here to remain sane inside of it. The children don't fully understand this yet. They sneak into the courthouse and describe the space in the same curious way they describe Boo's house.
Not much is happening. The judge looks like he's asleep. I see your daddy and a colored man.
And both institutions feel mysterious, powerful, and distant. And that parallel isn't subtle. The kids keep records through gossip. Adults keep records through testimony. Both rely on the same thing: who is believed. Atticus encounters
Mr. Ewell?
Captain, I'm real sorry they picked you to defend that nigger that raped my Mayella.
From that moment on, the town behaves as if the conclusion has already been reached. The trial isn't about discovery. It's about confirmation. Everyone involved understands the evidence. They just understand something else more. What happens if this man is acquitted? Scout is confronted with slurs. She fights boys for saying them. Atticus tells her not to fight over words, not because the words can't matter or that the words don't matter, but because violence doesn't fix belief. You can't shield your children from every ugly thing, Atticus says. That line lands differently once you realize the film itself was released in 1962 as Americans watched segregation unravel on television while insisting publicly that they supported equality, at least in theory. The movie isn't speaking to people who don't know racism exists. It's speaking to people who know and are resisting what that knowledge requires. The jailhouse scene makes that explicit.
No, Scout, don't go to him. He might not like it. I just wanted to see where he was and what he was up to.
Atticus sits alone outside Tom Robinson's cell, reading by the light of a lamp he brought from home. Then vehicles pull up. Men with guns, vigilantes who are certain. They don't call it mob justice, they call it necessity. And the moment only breaks when Scout appears and recognizes one of them, and abstraction collapses into relationship.
Hey, Mr. Cunningham. You brought us some hickory nuts one early morning, remember? We had a talk. I went and got my daddy to come out and thank you. I go to school with your boy. I go to school with Walter.
She reminds Mr. Cunningham that they're neighbors, that she goes to school with his son. Suddenly, belief falters. Not because evidence appears, but because the lie becomes personal. That's the closest the system comes to correction. And it has nothing to do with the law.
Where are you going? I can't stand it any longer. I'm going downtown to the courthouse and walk. You better not. It's packed solid.
Inside the courtroom, the performance begins. Witnesses swear on the Bible as if that automatically confers good faith and honesty. General claims are slowly narrowed into specifics under Atticus's questioning.
He caught me, he choked me, and he took advantage of me. Is that right? Do you remember him beating you about the face?
No. I don't recollect if he hit me. I mean, yes, he hit me. He hit me.
Mayella Ewell testifies. Her story shifts under pressure. She denies her father's abuse. She lashes out when challenged, equating disbelief with moral cowardice.
And if you find fancy gentlemen ain't gonna do nothing about it, then you're just a bunch of lousy, yellow, stinking cowards.
Then Tom Robinson takes the stand.
Seemed like every time I passed by yonder, she'd have some little something for me to do. Chopping kindling and toting water for.
His left arm is useless. He catches a glass with his right hand.
Tom, will you catch this, please?
He explains that Mayella invited him inside.
And then she said to come in the house. She has a door needs fixing. So I follows her inside, and I looked at the door, and it looked all right. Well, I said, I best be going. I couldn't do nothing for her. And she said, oh, yes, I could. And I asked her what. And she said to just step on the chair yonder and get that box down from on top of the chiffero. I got down off the chair, and I turned around. She sort of jumped on me. She hugged me around the waist. She reached up and kissed me on the face. She said she'd never kissed a grown man before.
And when Tom says he felt sorry for her, the courtroom reacts not with empathy, but suspicion. Because within this structure, compassion itself is viewed as transgression because he's a black man.
You mighty good fella, it seems. Did all that for not one penny.
Yes, sir. I felt right sorry for her. She seemed...
You felt sorry for her. A white woman?
Atticus lays it all out. The injuries on Mayella match a left-handed attacker. The case is circumstantial. Mayella is a victim only of poverty and ignorance, but that does not justify the lie. And Tom Robinson's only crime is pity for a white woman.
My pity does not extend so far as to her putting a man's life at stake. She has merely broken a rigid and time-honored code of our society. She must destroy the evidence. She must put Tom Robinson away from her. In our courts, all men are created equal. I'm no idealist.
And for a moment, the film dares you to believe that sentence still has power. But the all-white male jury deliberates for 2 hours, then returns the only verdict the town ever expected.
Gentlemen of the jury, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor.
What is your verdict?
We find the defendant guilty as charged.
Guilty. Not because evidence failed, but because evidence was never the point. This is where the film becomes most honest. Atticus points out every inconsistency. Nobody cares. Atticus always suspected he would lose because the trial was not a mechanism for truth. It was a ritual for maintaining order. Tom Robinson is later killed while attempting to escape. The deputy claims he shot to wound. Intent doesn't matter when outcomes are predictable. Atticus hoped for an appeal.
I'll go to see Helen first thing tomorrow morning. I told her not to be disappointed. We'd probably lose this one. Tom.
But hope in this system is always procedural. Bob Ewell later spits in Atticus's face. Atticus walks away. Atticus is strong. He's capable. He's an expert marksman. And still, restraint is his answer. Not because it fixes the world, but because it keeps him human. When Bob Ewell attacks the children, it is Boo Radley who intervenes. The man no one knew, the man everyone feared, he saves them and carries Jim home. Bob Ewell is found dead, his knife under his ribs.
Someone carrying Jim.
Well, who was it?
Oh, there he is, Mr. Tate. He can tell you his name.
Boo won't stand trial.
Taking one man who's done you and this town a big service and dragging him with his shy ways into the limelight. To me, that's a sin. But I'm still sheriff of Macomb County. And Bob Ewell fell on his knife.
Scout later says because it would be like shooting a mockingbird.
Tate was right.
What do you mean?
Well, it would be sort of like shooting a mockingbird, wouldn't it?
No spectacle, no inquiry, a tidy narrative to preserve comfort. Scout takes Boo's hand, leads him gently, stands on the Radley porch, and sees the town from his perspective. For the first time, she understands what Atticus meant, not as a moral slogan, but as a cognitive act. And that is where the story finally lands. To Kill a Mockingbird is not asking us whether racism is wrong, even though that is a part of it. It's asking, what do you do when the truth is obvious, the evidence is sufficient, and the system chooses the lie anyway? Because the most dangerous injustices don't survive by hiding facts. They survive by making facts irrelevant. And that question, that unresolved tension between knowledge and action, is not locked in the 1930s or 1960s. It still persists and is perpetuated today.